This meeting of the International Justice Commission is now called to order. Please state your name and call sign for the record.
Acting Commander Vivian Chase. Call sign Sojourn.
How did you come to join Overwatch?
My unit of the Canadian Special Forces teamed up with Overwatch during the Omnic crisis. Jack Morrison and I worked well together. And after the war, he reached out.
Can you give us some examples of duties you performed?
Whatever was needed. Sometimes I ran point for our agents in the field. Other times I commanded the operation. No matter what their mission was, mine was to bring every last one of them home.
It sounds like you hoped for the impossible.
I know, but they gave me the impossible every single day. It was the honor of a lifetime to have served with Overwatch. But you can love a thing with your whole heart and still know it's time to say goodbye. Even the best journeys end. But a new one is right around the corner. And you never know where that road is gonna take you.
So, can I just say, one of the things I'm really looking forward to when they get to the PvE content next year, I know it was pushed back, they said it'll come in 2023, and it's the reason I was excited for Overwatch 2. I have been wanting single-player story PvE content in this game ever since it came out, because there are times you can see that there is some interesting lore here in this world, its setting, and with these characters. Like, I want to know more about that backstory and history of Sojourn during her time in Overwatch, working with Morrison, and when she got to lead teams with Mercy and Tracer and Winston and Genji. I want to see that stuff. I want to know more, you know? It's something that I'm just, like, very interested in. So, Sojourn. Composed mostly of cybernetic enhancements, Sojourn is a peerless tactician with an unwavering moral compass, making her an indispensable ally or a terrifying foe. This is, of course, her default appearance here. You can even see, like, most of her body looks like it's cybernetic, but, you know, we already had characters like that, like Genji, showing that most of his body is cybernetic, and whether or not their body was able to be compatible with it or work with it. It's something that I remember they delved into in Deus Ex, for those of you who played Human Revolution. That was something they really delved into. But anyways, let's go ahead and look at her stuff in the gallery here. This is her default skin, as I said. This is her primary weapon, her rail gun. We'll talk more about how this works when we get to the practice range. This is one of these skins from last year's Battle Pass, or last season's Battle Pass is what I mean. Commando skin, which I think is pretty awesome, you know, for those of you who have either seen either of Arnold's movies, Commando or Predator, this is probably going to look very familiar to you. Troop Commander, again, you know, more so probably delving into the backstory and lore in her story. Captain Chase, very much of the Overwatch kind of old school uniform. And here, Cyber Detective, this was what she wore during the Halloween event, or the Wrath of the Bride event. Runner, Firefighter, and the just read colors of the default skin. The emotes, that's her default heroic pose. Confidence. Guffaw. Standing by. The sit-down emote and weapons check. Her victory poses, the default heroic one, evaluate, effortless, primed, flex.
It's about to get real. It's always the widow. It's all connected. With these upgrades, they don't stand a chance. We've got a world to save. You can call me Vivian. Croissant? Ugh, don't give me that decaf. Do what you think is right. Got anything for me? I'm a safe bet. Murphy, down! The more things change, the more they stay the same. What's this about? Keep crying. Rain won't stop. What's this about?
I find it, because remember, she's Canadian, so they had the voice actress emphasize the about, just to remind everyone, that's right, she's Canadian.
Keep crying. Rain won't stop.
That's kind of a, one of those, I guess, trollish lines. Here's her cute spray, and that's her pixel spray. Her highlight intros, her default heroic one, of course. Optics. Don't know why I don't have that one equipped. Leader. And slide into action. And this is her railgun, and this is what it looks like if you get the golden version. Alright, so now let's check her out in the practice range. So we can talk about how she works as a character. So,
we're in this together.
Her railgun, her primary fire, has rapid firing projectiles that generate energy on hit.
Railgun charge! Which
then goes into her secondary fire, which is high impact shot that consumes stored energy. And you'll see then it degrades over time. But once you do damage, it'll go up to 100, and you'll see here, and then you just BAM!
Double right on the money. Railgun powered and ready to fire. Double kill.
Interesting that it's not doing as much damage. I think it's because there was a change to Sojourn in the recent patch. I can't actually, hold on. I'll show it to you when we leave the practice range, but there was a change to Sojourn in this week's patch notes. I think it was a nerf, actually. But anyways, let's keep looking at the rest of her kit. So, she has one of my favorite abilities. Her left shift is Power Slide. On its own, it just slides across. That's great. The best part, though, is what you do if you then jump at the while it's going on, which is whee! And that is such great mobility for her. And by the way, you can do this in any direction. If I want to go this way, zoom, I can slide to the right, slide to the left. Yes, I just referenced that. But it's literally like I can slide to the left or slide to the left. It's pretty great. And you can also slide backwards. Yes, you can slide backwards. Whee! And it's only on a 6-second cooldown. But again, it's like if you want to be like, oh, I want to get a high vantage. Whee! There you go. Now you've got high vantage point because you did the power slide. Her E is Disruptor Shot. Launches an energy burst that snares and deals damage to enemies within it.
What's the rush?
Yeah, it's basically a nice little area denial where it's going to do, AoE damage and slow. Yeah, it's pretty nice little AoE area denial right there. You can see that.
Double kill.
Now that leads to her ult. Overclock. The railgun energy auto charges for a short duration and charge shots will pierce enemies. So, right now I'm at 0. Once I pop my ult...
This ends now. Double 2. Recharging. Threat neutralized.
So, the thing about Sojourn that I quickly realized that this is a character that is going to be pretty good in the hands of those who are able to know how to, aim well. If they're able to, do well aiming, if they have good frame rate with their specs and such, being able to hit those shots with the railgun. Because it's one thing, like, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's like I can be able to do this like Soldier. But doing this, being able to get those precise, good headshots with your railgun charged up, that's a little tougher, Especially if you have struggle aiming, So I quickly realized this was going to be a character that was very much going to be pretty good in the hands of those who can actually,
was the honor of a lifetime.
Now, you don't have to wait till it's 100 energy, by the way. You can go ahead and fire it off even, like, at 14 energy here. Just bam. But, obviously, it's not going to do that much damage. So, you want to wait until it's 100 and then bam!
Double doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, that is Sojourn's kit, basically. Now, if you're wondering, what did she recently get changes to? Well, if you look at the patch notes that just came out, and we scroll down to hero updates, obviously they went over Ramattra. Doomfist got some very interesting little changes. It looks like they buffed him. I think Junker Queen may have been nerfed, but also got some other balance changes. Bastion. And then Sojourn here. So, Sojourn is performing well at the highest tiers of competitive play, but poorly below those tiers. Much of the perception that she is too powerful seems to be driven by the reaction to dying to long range. Charged headshots from her railgun secondary fire. These changes are aimed at reducing frustrations there, with the biggest change being the reduced critical multiplier for headshots. A fully charged headshot no longer kills a full health 200 HP hero. So that's why just now in the practice range, I was struggling to kill those robots, because it was doing that before. Like, before this patch, bam! She hits you with that headshot there, you're dead. But it looks like they have reduced that to make it less likely. To help account for this loss of power, we are increasing the damage of her primary fire and how quickly her energy charges during her ultimate. So the energy delay before draining is reduced from 8 to 5 seconds. Secondary fire fall off starting range reduced from 70 to 40 meters. Secondary fire critical damage multiplier reduced from 2 to 101.5. Secondary fire damage now scales linearly with energy from 30 to 130 damage. 1 energy converts to 1 damage added. Primary fire damage, her projectile increased from 9 to 10. Overclock energy charge rate has been increased by 20%. So you could already notice the differences when I was in the practice range there. In terms of, it felt like her railgun stuff and her ult had definitely been altered. So that is something to keep in mind if you're going to try her out later on. During the time I've tried to play Sojourn, I can already tell this is not a character for me and when I'm going to play. Now, I don't mind her primary fire. It's the railgun part that I struggle with because I'll admit it, I'm not good at aiming. I'm not great when it comes to aiming with my mouse, and there are times, because I don't have great specs, I get frame rate drops sometimes. And frame rates are very important in games like this, where you have to be very precise with your shots, but if you have lag or frame rate drops right when you're trying to, it's going to screw you up. So, but I will admit that I'm not that great when it comes to aiming games like this because I don't have a long history and trying to actually play games like this, and I don't put the time in because I don't care. I don't care about getting good at a game like this. Plus, I have other things going on in my life. I have a job and other stuff going on in my life. I'm not gonna spend time getting good at this game when I have other stuff to do. So, I'm totally fine with playing other characters that I can have more fun with than this character that is not only gonna not really feel fun for me to play, but I'm also gonna struggle playing. So, I'm not trying to, rail on this or anything, but I'm just like being upfront about it because people make such a huge deal about, whether or not you're good at aiming or such in games like this, and it just gets so tiresome, It's like, there are other more important things in life than being good in a competitive multiplayer shooter game, but whatever. Anyways, that is Sojourn. I'm not going to bother showing her in a game. I don't really feel like there's reason to. You pretty much get the general idea. So when we come back, we will take a look at either Kiriko or Junker Queen. Stay tuned.